It's the Rangers Journal night.
Well, good evening, everyone, on Monday, the 9th of December. The nights are rolling in, and as are the victories. We seem to be gaining a bit of momentum now, and it's not just in Europe for once. We're actually starting to see that come to fruition in the league as well, which is great. Thanks for watching the Rangers Journal this evening. My name is Ross Graham. Thanks for choosing us to spend your Monday night with. I'm joined by two excellent guests. We have got Tomo. First of all, I haven't seen you in a while, bud. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Ross. Yeah, been a bit of a busy time, so not been free, but always glad to be on. And again, looking forward to tonight. It's been a good couple of weeks. Things are beginning to look a bit better than what we were.
Very, very true. And I'm also joined by Ricky. Now, for those that don't know, Ricky had his works night out at the weekend, so I'm desperate to hear the goss from it. But how was the head, first of all, Ricky?
I was a bit fragile yesterday, buddy, to be honest with you. Really good night. One of those nights where you just don't remember getting home, which unfortunately I don't remember getting home. But I knew getting a taxi by 1:30, which is good. I went down to watch the game yesterday. So yeah, it was good. It was a good weekend. So looking forward to tonight. Good evening, Tomo, and everybody else who's out there watching. Yeah, looking forward to a little chat for tonight.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So for those that don't know, we're going to be taking a little look back at yesterday's game versus Ross County, a 3-0 victory. We're going to talk a bit about the game and how it unfolded, and then we've pulled out some players to kind of dial into a bit. I think they deserve a bit of focus, so we'll get into those. Be good to get your thoughts as we go, so please do put your thoughts in the chat, and we'll get to those and read them out as we go. So, Tomo, as I said before, I haven't really spoken to you much about recent form. What was your head like going into this game? Obviously, Dingwall, pretty tricky place to go historically.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, isn't it? Sunday lunchtime kickoffs away from home. We never seem to play well, put in a performance. It's just, you look just back to last Sunday against St. Johnstone, where we were never in really any danger of losing the game against St. Johnstone, but attacking wise, it was all just a bit dreary and dull. And that's sort of, I wouldn't say expecting against Ross County, but I was expecting it to be a tough game, them making it hard, and us, huffing and puffing for the breakthrough. As always in these games, though, the early goal makes all the difference. So once that goes in, it changes the whole dynamic of the game, really. So the result on Wednesday against Kilmarnock, we saw some good attacking football. It was good to see the same near enough lineup. Just Diamandi dropped out, it was a bit of I was looking forward to it when I seen the lineup. I thought, oh, we're going to have a go here. So I was confident we were going to get the win.
Yeah, nice. Ricky, that's 2 games prior to this that we've won, and 10 goals scored in those 2 games. Were you confident going in? Were you kind of excited for it, or sort of always, a bit of trepidation going up there, considering the weather and all of the conditions, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, the park was just atrocious, wasn't it, the weather? I mean, that's just the way it is up there this time of year. But, you have to go back almost a year ago now and up there. And basically between that and the Dundee game, we chucked the league away, didn't we? So it's not an easy place to go and get a result. But, deep down, you're confident that you're going to go up there on the back of Wednesday night, 6 goals at Ibrox, where we played particularly well. And he kept the same formation, and it's ironic that he's changed the formation. All of a sudden, we look at, he's not. Everybody's released the handbrake, so to speak. We're all sort of trying to. And what I was pleased about yesterday, albeit it was very comfortable. They all pressed together. Because there was quite a lot of slack play again. Yesterday, it was a very comfortable day for us. But when those mistakes were made, we worked really hard as a team to win that ball back, and that's what was pleasing for me yesterday. Very, very comfortable. I think, as soon as we started sort of making all the substitutions, which was totally understandable because you've got 2 big games on the horizon, so you were always going to see that happening. We kind of lost the kind of fluency in their play, but 3 points back down the road, no injuries, and another good 90 minutes for the players who are hoping to gel together. Egeman, Haji, Danilo, you can tell there's players in there, and as soon as they can start getting some sort of a rapport together, which they've showed in the last 2 games, then it's a different beast now. Considering what it was like 5-6 weeks ago when we were under a lot of pressure. Well, the manager certainly was, because the performances were just not good enough. But we can't sort of say that we've now turned the corner. We're getting there. 2 good performances, and if we can replicate that Thursday night, and then obviously the cup final on Sunday, then yes, we are back. Can we chase Celtic down? I'm not so sure, but we certainly can't give it up, can we? We need to try and just keep going and see if we can close that gap. I've got a feeling that unless they start dropping points, it's going to be a bit impossible for us.
Yeah, I hear you, bud. Tomo, one of the encouraging things for me before the game was looking at the subs bench, and I think it's been a while since we've been able to actually say, do you know what, we've got a bit of strength in there. So it was Sterling, Bayrami, Diamande, Dessers, Dowell, Proper, Yilmaz, McCausland, and Liam Kelly. That feels like a reasonably strong bench.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, any other times, you've got 4 or 5 of them that are probably in the starting lineup. You look at how much money we've spent on those players, and they can come on and they can do a job. Someone's not working out. We're not playing well. We've got options there, and Bajrami, his form's been a little bit off the last few weeks, but Hadji's come in, took his place. He might just need a bit of a breather. He's been playing out of position, so it would be nice to see him maybe get a shot in behind the striker. But like I say, a really strong bench, and I think this is part of the reason why we're starting to play a little bit better, is we are getting people back from injury now. There are options there, whereas he gets a lot of stick, but basically for the last year, Dessers has been our only striker. There's been nobody to share the load with him, so to speak. So now we've got Egerman, who seems to have settled in now. Danilo seems to have put his injury behind him. It's pretty decent strikers, and we saw it the other night when Dessers came on. 2 really nice finishes that he's capable of. So maybe without all that pressure on him and getting a bit of a rotation in the side, we might see him playing a little better in terms of his all-round game and keeping the goal tally up. But yeah, definitely the strength on the bench was pleasing to see, especially as Ricky said, got a couple of big games coming up now, but the next month, lots of games, and all those players are going to be needed at some point, I think.
They are indeed, absolutely. Look, we're not going to spend too long talking through the actual game, but I just wanted to focus on the goals, if I could. Ricky, the lads had a cracking start. We're going to come on to Hamza Egerman in a bit more detail later on, but what did you make of that goal? Cracking strike.
Yeah, that's 2 good strikes now, isn't it? Not scared to have a pop outside the box, and we've been screaming that for a long time. Yes, it took a little bit of a deflection. I think you can see it. A lot of people say that there was a lot being made of it, but it was just a good, clean strike. Good build-up play, we won 2, and he just took it first time once he sort of laid the ball off, and away it went. And it was a great goal. It was an early goal, and it allowed us to settle down, and we totally dominated. It was very, very comfortable. But going on to what Tomo was saying as well, when you were just asking the question about the bench, absolutely brilliant, and that's what you need. But let's not forget, Cortez is going to be key to us as well, and he's now back training. So I would like to think that in the next few games, certainly this year, we might see him on the bench and getting a bit of a cameo. And if we can get him playing, because I think he's a fantastic player for what we saw of him. And him and Czerny, who was a little bit quiet the other day, but you've got to give the boy credit. He's been one of the star players in the past sort of 6-7 games as Czerny. We know what he can do. To have him and Cortez playing in the same team, fully fit, with those 3 options that Tom was already mentioned, Hadji, Bajrami, swapping about within the midfield, 2 solid, pivot boys there with Raskin and Barron. Things are starting to look good. Potentially Big Balogun, because I'm not too sure Proper is maybe the answer going forward. It may be that we might have to strengthen that area in the January window if we can get somebody in. But it is starting to look a lot better for us, Ross.
Yeah. I noticed you didn't mention Matondo coming back there, Ricky. Do you think he could play a part?
I've not a lot of time for Matonda, Ross. I think that was you're leading me into the sort of the fishing there, aren't you? Listen, I'd love the boy to come in and prove me wrong, but he's not good enough for Rangers. He just doesn't. He hasn't got it. He's got pace to burn, and he doesn't know how to use it. And that's what's frustrating for me. You'll see the odd flash of brilliance, i.e. the sort of equaliser against Celtic, fantastic goal, but considering he's on the best part of 30 grand a week, we don't get enough from him. So I don't really see him being a major plus when he comes back. I actually forgot about him, Ross. Yeah.
No worries. Tomo, look, we scored the second goal. Danilo nipped in. There was a bit of a calamitous error from the keeper at the back, but he stuck it away very well. Do you think we're seeing the best of Danilo yet? Do you think he's got levels to come?
I think he's still got levels to go up. When he first came into the team, when we signed him, he looked excellent. His finishing was a little bit hit and miss at times. I think there was a game, I think it was Dundee away. He scored a couple and he should have had about 6. But his movement, his touch, everything was brilliant. And we're starting to see that. And with his goal, it was good pressing of the goalkeeper. But it was mentioned earlier by one of his, the whole team was pressing. It was, it wasn't giving them an easy out. Whereas in the past, you've had basically Dessers, who has been pressing, and then the midfield has been 20 yards behind him. So then they just pop it around him, and it makes him look like, a bit of a statue, which is a bit unfair on him. But he's Danilo again, chased the keeper down, made something happen, and got that crucial second goal, which always helps. But I think there's more to come from Danilo, and in the last few games, his link-up play, his touch has been excellent. And I'm really pleased for the guy that he's getting on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomo, just sticking with you there. Ricky mentioned it's great to have 3 different strikers that we've, all seem to be able to put the ball on the back of the net at the minute. What is it that Danilo brings that's sort of different to the other 2, would you think?
Like I say, I think his link-up play, his movement, he keeps the defences moving around. He's not static. He's making the defenders think. So he's pulling defenders into positions they don't want to be. He's almost playing in that number 10 role. Defenders don't know whether to pick him up, whether a midfielder to pick him up. But as I said, I just think his link-up play is excellent, and his movement, he just gives an option for midfielders and defenders to pick out. Whereas we've probably been missing that a couple of months ago, where everything was a little bit predictable. Whereas now we seem to have a fluid, say, front 4 that are happy to take the ball in. They're happy to move. They're happy to go into different positions, and I think that has been a huge difference these last 3-4 games.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation, Tomo. I think historically, when it's been kind of Dessers up there by himself, it's been very much a target man, and it's just easy to mark, isn't it? Very easy to mark. If you mark him, you stem the flow. Having those, whether it's Cherney, whether it's Danilo, whether it's Igaman, whether it's Hadji, and behind, the fluidity of the movement between them is really difficult to defend against. And clearly it's working for us, and we're creating these gaps. It's a really good observation. Ricky, got into the second half, as you rightly said, the game's done. It was very comfortable throughout. There was very minimal scares. And then on the 86th minute, Captain Fantastic stepped up and scored a beautiful goal. What have you made of Tav these past few weeks?
Well, he's back to being his normal self, isn't he? The Tav of old, really. I'm one of many that have said that it's time for Tav to move on or not be a regular starter. It's such a difficult decision for the manager, because for me, Tav starting against Maida, we're letting ourselves play almost like a man down straight away, because they'll just target him. He just never stops that Maida. He has Tav for toast. But at the same time, if you don't start with Tav, you're going to potentially lose that offensive part of our game. Which he's always there. He scores goals. He scored a cracking goal yesterday, first time strike, and it just flew in the back. It was as sweet as a nut, wasn't it? And I'm pleased for him, but it's a conundrum, Ross. I mean, would you start him on Sunday?
Yeah, I would start him on Sunday.
Yeah,
I think you play your best team, and at the minute, under current form, he's doing really well, and I think he's performing very well. I'm also encouraged by the centre-back pairing, and I think that'll provide him with some level of support. I think Suter's quick enough to get across and support, and I think also Barron dropping back in will provide some level of shielding for him. I completely hear your point, though. It's definitely a risk, but I guess as well, Tavernier has popped up with a number of free kicks as well against them, which could be, it could turn the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Tomo. So game over, 3-0 Rangers up the road. There was 3 players that I wanted to focus on if I could, and I've got some slides. Thank you very much to Dean for preparing these. Quality as ever. The first player is Yanis Hadji, someone who I guess up until a month ago, 6 weeks ago, was thought to be out the door. Thought that his sort of dad meddling in his contractual business had left him in a situation where he was probably heading for a January exit, or at least sitting in the B team for the rest of the season. I'm going to just say it, I thought he was fantastic again on Sunday, Tomo. It'd be great to get your thoughts on his overall play and I guess what he's brought to the team so far.
The first thing I will say is I hold my hands up, and I got it completely wrong with him. I didn't think he'd come back to us after his loan spell. I didn't think he would be someone who would enhance us sort of going forward. And I was totally wrong. I always thought he had the ability. It was just that pace in his game. Just thought he was a little bit slow, and it would hamper him going forward. But what can you say about the guy? He was, like I say, he was out the door. He was in the B team. He didn't whinge and moan, Ross. He got on with it. He done what he had to do, and he worked his way back up. And there'll be people out there who go on about Todd Cantwell. Well, they wanted him to stay and whatnot. If Todd Cantwell had done what Hadji had done, maybe he'd be in the team as well, rather than, being out the door. So the fact he went through that and showed that he wanted to play, he sort of renegotiated his contract so that the money side of things wasn't an issue. He showed that he wants to play for us. He's got his chance and he's took it. He's been instrumental in the last three league games. Obviously set up the own goal against St Johnstone, set up Tav's the first goal against Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
And again, was just instrumental yesterday. He's got the talent. He can pick a pass. He's not scared to try that hard pass that may not come off, and that's what we need more of. And he's been a joy to watch. He really has. And at the minute, he's got to be one of the first names on the team sheet, I would have thought. He's making himself pretty much undroppable. Obviously, he won't be able to play on Thursday because of he's not registered. But come Sunday, I don't see how he's not in that starting lineup. But I'm just really happy for the lad that he's getting the game time that his hard work deserves.
Yeah, completely hear you. And there was a good question in here from Josh Black. Does Hadji start on Sunday? He's not got great pace, and you need legs in the old firm. Tomo, what do you reckon?
I totally agree with what he's saying there, but he gives us that something different. And if we can get a midfield of, say, Raskin and Barron, who's going to be doing the running, and even Danilo, and if that's how we're going to go, I'd be happy with that, with Hadji and Cherney sort of out wide. I can't see how he doesn't start the cup final. I'd be very, very surprised if he doesn't.
Yeah. I'd agree with you there. I think he's earned his place. I think we've set up the same way against them and it hasn't worked. We've got a solution at the minute that seems to be working, albeit against the opposition hasn't been incredible, and I take that on board. But even against Nice, you see the players that we had at that sort of top end of the pitch causing problems, moving around, shaking things up, moving things around, and creating issues. Ricky, I'm going to take my hat off to you here, because if there's one person that's been banging the drum about Yanis Hadji for a while, it has been you. So credit where credit's due. Is he fulfilling everything you kind of hoped he would?
Yeah, I just think, and again, I don't buy this lack of pace. He's not slow or that. He's not a Matondo, but we don't need somebody with blistering pace in the number 10 row. We need somebody exactly like him who's got two fantastic feet. He's always positive, trying to make the forward pass. Sometimes it doesn't come off, but he'll work hard to close that ball down again. He never gives up on a bad pass. And that's another good thing about him. His work rate is fantastic for a young lad. 26, a very, very intelligent football player. And he's one of the main reasons why we're turning a corner here, because when you've got people like that can see passes, and with Danilo, who can now make those runs for those passes, that was one of the reasons why I think Danilo will get much better when he gets match fit. He's a Brazilian. He's got the finesse, he's got the flair, and he will prove to be a really good footballer. And when you've got people like Hadji and Badrami sort of in behind them, sort of linking the play there, we know what's not to love, and he has got to definitely start on Sunday. Hadji, he's just been the difference for our team, and I actually think he's forced the manager to change his formation. I think that's the reason why we're turning a corner. Hadji's back playing football again, and he's now seen that we can play two front runners, because we've got the Gale in the middle of the park now that can link all the play. We never had that in the old formation, but that's my take on it. And what a player. Absolutely. I mean, it was mentioned, I think it was Mitch had mentioned that there was somebody snooping about to try and take him in the January. Well, what we don't want to be doing is losing a player in January when we've only just gotten back in the team. He's a new signing. So, yeah, keep it going, because he's been an absolute star since he's come back in the team.
Yeah, big test for him on Sunday. I think it's super pleasing to see the determination and, I guess, ability that he was shown in the B team seems to be translating now into the first team as well. I think that's really worth saying. One last thing I just wanted to ask you, Ricky, on Hadji. Do you think his time out and having to watch from the sidelines has made him that little bit more hungry, that little bit more determined? You see him at the start of the game and he was getting stuck into tackles and really putting himself about like he really wanted to fight for the shirt.
Yeah, and he's never hidden his admiration for football, for Rangers Football Club, Ross, ever. He loves it here. He's said that no matter where he's been. Yes, his dad's been a wee bit of an influence, with the media and bits and bobs. Again, you could take that how you want. His dad's only going to look after his boy. It's only natural. But his dad hasn't got anything against our football club. He just wants his boy playing football. So they both now got what they wanted. And if he can just, his attitude is just amazing. It really is. Tomo touched on it there where Todd Cantwell going down to Blackburn. We all knew Todd Cantwell was a decent player, but his head was all over media, social media, taking on people that he shouldn't have been taking on. It just, instead of concentrating on his football and playing for Rangers, that's exactly what Hadji's done when he was out the picture. Just get his head down, play with the B team, get in the good press, and he's now got his chance. And that's the difference. We have a good attitude against a bad attitude.
Yeah, completely agree. We're going to move on to the next player that I wanted to call out. And this guy, I think, is probably an unsung hero recently, but most definitely deserves the accolades. If it does load, bear with me 1 second. Nothing coming up there, is there, lads? Anything you can see? Oh, is it up on your screen?
Yeah.
There we go. Sorry, must be my internet. Yes, Leon Balogun. So score rating of 8.1, which is higher than what Hadji had. Tomo, again, someone that was kind of out in the doldrums, thought probably his career was just about to sort of drop off or head into the twilight era, and he's back and he's earned his starting position. What have you made of Balogun since him and Suter have kind of set that partnership up?
Yeah, well, we all know what Balogun brings. He's strong. He's quick. The only sort of downside, I suppose, is due to his age, injuries do mount up a little bit, so how many games in a row can he play? But he's been excellent, and he's perfectly suited for the physicality of Scottish football, which is where I think Proper maybe falls down. As Ricky said earlier, centre-back is probably an area we're going to have to look at strengthening in January, because while Proper has been decent in the Europa League, he has struggled with the bread and butter of the Scottish Premiership. But Balogun, him and Suter look excellent together. That's 3 clean sheets now in a row in the league. We look solid at the back. Well, we look more comfortable at the back, and his pace has got a lot to do with it. The defence can go higher up, knowing that they've got that pace to cover. So he's been excellent. We saw him in his first spell at the club. We knew exactly what he would bring, and he's another one who absolutely loves the club. He loves Rangers. So, like you said, it looked like his career was going to just sort of dwindle off, and then he's got a second chance with us. He's making the most of it. So, as long as he's fit and able to, he's the one that starts at centre back with Suter for me. I don't think there can be much arguments about that.
Well, what is it that he's got that maybe we're not seeing from Proper, Tomo?
I just think he's just the way he gets in about centre forwards. He doesn't allow them to steady on the ball. He's up their backside. He's harassing them, and like I say, he's got that pace and that little bit of intelligence to read the game, and should someone get the other side of him, he's got that recovery pace to get back. Whereas I think Proper, he's obviously played in Holland, where he probably doesn't come up against too many big guys who like to rough him about. So he's not going to be engaging as well as what Balogun does. And I think that's the main difference, really. It's just that physicality. Balogun has played in England and Scotland for many, many years and is used to that type of football. I just don't think Proper is. And whether he's going to be able to get used to it, I don't know. But certainly Balogun is he's not letting anyone down when he's in the team.
Yeah. Ricky, be good to get your thoughts on the big man. For what it's worth, from my point of view, I think he brings a real calmness to the back. He's obviously been there and won trophies with us before. He understands Rangers. He understands the club. He knows what it means to fans. And for me, he's just made and he brings out the best in John Suter. And he's a quality player, and he brings out the best in him. Ricky, what's your thoughts?
No, he's been a fantastic player, and I can't think really of many occasions where when he's been in the team, he's actually let us down. He's got a great turn of pace. See the ball over the top, he can get there. Do you know what I mean? So he can trust that. Where I think the difference between him and Proper with Big Suter, and you're absolutely right, Ross. Suter's playing out of his skin with Balogun alongside him, and they're a really good partnership. But for me, they play a lot closer to each other. They move left and right with each other. Whereas when Proper and Suter's playing, they're too far apart. So they end up getting a bit more exposed with the ball going over the top, or a single striker. We're sort of against Aberdeen and these through balls. You don't tend to see that when Balogun's playing, because they do play a lot closer. And I think that's a big difference. Proper likes to sit a little bit deep. So he's always there to take a pass and, starting to get the play going from the back. He'll always try and do that, but Balogun will always stick close to the centre forward and as close to Suter as possible. And that's a big difference for me. But Balogun has been a great player, and it's just a shame he's now at 37 now. But going on to Thursday night, I don't want him anywhere near Rangers on Thursday night though. I want him in Cotton Wool playing on Sunday against Celtic.
Interesting.
That's the one player. I want us to go strong on Thursday, Ross, because I want us to build momentum. But if there's one player that I don't want to see in the park on Thursday night, it's Big Balogun. I want Leon to be fresh for Sunday against Celtic and play proper in there on Thursday night against Spurs, because we cannot afford not to have Balogun playing against Celtic. He's a must.
It's a really good point. Tomo, do you want to come in on that? What are your thoughts?
I 100% agree with Ricky. It's it's a big game against Spurs. Obviously, we don't want to lose any games, but essentially it's a free hit on Thursday night, and we've got a cup final on Sunday against a team that we need to start beating. We really need to start beating them, and I think we've got a better chance of beating Celtic on Sunday with a fresh, injury-free Balogun than what we would do having Robin Proper in there. So I totally 100% agree with Ricky. Play Proper on Thursday and then Balogun on Sunday.
Yeah. I think I hadn't thought of that before, but it could be a good shout actually. Keep him fresh. One thing that I guess a slight deviation here, and I saw someone posted it. Excuse me, I just can't find the comment at the minute, but it was mentioned about scoring from set pieces. Now we've seen Balogun do it a number of times before. We've seen Suter score before, and before that, Goldson was reasonably prolific in the air, I guess, from corners, or at least a threat. What's going on at the minute? I mean, I called it out months ago, and we still haven't scored since then. What's going on, Ricky?
Well, a lot of it has to do clearly on the training ground, Ross. We haven't got a set piece specialist clearly, or we would be scoring from corners or from free kicks. Because unless it's a direct pot at goal and it's flying in, we're never scoring from across. That may change now that the formation seems to be changing, where he's playing two up top. So you maybe will get a lot more sort of players getting down, finding the byline because there's not going to be two strikers in it. So that may allow us to sort of start scoring from these set pieces. I'm not sure. But it's got to have something to do with what's happening at Auchenhowie. Why are we not scoring from corner kicks or dead balls? It's just, I don't understand. We've got the height to do it. Tav's a fantastic crosser of a ball. So it's got to be tactically how we are setting up training during the week and not implementing whatever they're practicing on match day. But it's been far too long now, and it's becoming a bit of a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely is. Tom, I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that or anything you'd try and change, whether it's an in-swinger, out-swinger, short, long. God, I don't know. I think we've tried it all, haven't we?
I think we have, but I also think we need to acknowledge as well some of the finishing when the ball gets in there has been a little bit poor as well. It's not like poor crosses are coming in from the corners. I think on yesterday, I think Suter had a chance where he's had about 2 or 3 nibbles at it, and he's made a bit of a mess at it. And then even when we go back to when Goldson was with us, he missed some amount of headers from between 6 and 12 yards out. So I think it just needs to be a little bit more better in our finishing when the balls do come in there. But like you say, we've tried everything. We have in-swingers, out-swingers, we have short corners. I genuinely don't know. It's just, maybe just being a little bit more confident and getting people attacking the ball. And I mean, what we miss is when we had Joe Aribo with us, that little run across the front post, the amount of times he flicked it on and someone was at the back post just waiting for it. Things like that. Again, it's, as Ricky said, stuff that needs to be seen on the training ground and worked on, because corners are a big part of the game now. I mean, you just look at Arsenal. How many goals have they been getting from corners and set pieces? It's becoming a bit of a joke that they've spent 600 million to basically be Stoke of 2010. So, it is a big part of the game. So I'd like to think that we are working on it in training, but if we break this duck on Thursday or even better Sunday, I won't complain too much.
No, me too. But as you rightly said, you see teams like Arsenal and where it's tight games, these sorts of goals, you think about Katic away at Celtic Park, these sorts of Motherwell and Goldson at Motherwell, when there were sort of, really key goals for us. And it's a big part of the game that we just need to scrub up on, because you can play as much good football as you want, win a corner, the crowd's up, and we all know there's a very slim chance for scoring from it. But hey-ho, maybe when we get one in, the floodgates will open, who knows? Right, Ricky, the next player that I wanted to bring up was Boy Wonder himself. Has that come up for you guys? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hamza Igaman. The boy can clearly do no wrong at the minute. I watched a compilation of him after the game against Ross County, and wow, the boy can play. What do you reckon, Ricky?
Well, look at the size of those legs. I mean, he's absolutely huge, isn't he? So he's a strong boy. Morelos type sort of a physique in that he'll be able to bully the centre halves, and he's not scared to do it. So that's good news that we can get somebody that can do that. He has got that flair, that finesse. And he'll try things that other players won't necessarily do. He's a young boy, and he'll only get better. Now, I did say in the pod several months ago that Morocco have got a fantastic group of young players at the moment. The national team finished third in the recent World Cup, and I think the under-21s won the under-21s World Cup just recently. Agami was a big part of that, albeit he wasn't in the squad because of injury. So he's obviously there at that kind of level, and I think we will see and reap the benefits of that lad once he's up and running, because he's very infectious, isn't he? You know, he just loves scoring. So I think when you've got, like, say, him, Danilo, Dessers there, say it, and I've mentioned the two before, Barami and Hadji, the wide men, all firing, chances to him, because he's an intelligent player. He'll make the runs for you, make the right runs. So we just link that up, finally get that together, and Igaman will be a huge, huge player for us. And I love how things are going for the boy.
Yeah, completely agree. Here, long may it continue. Tomo, I think he's got the strength and sort of bullishness of Morelos, but he's also got flair. He's got quality. He can skin a player. He laid a lovely ball down the line to Jeff there with the outside of his boot. And that's not the first time we've seen him sort of drop deep and lay that ball through. What do you reckon of this boy?
Yeah, I'm really excited about him. He made his debut when we got beat 3-0 against Celtic. And he came on, and the first thing he did, he picked up the ball and sort of just off the left back position and dribbled it past two of our players. There was no just launching it up the park, or he was very composed on the ball. But I just love the way his instinct is to get a shot away. He gets the ball and he's wanting to get a shot away. His goal against Kilmarnock, one touch out of his foot, bang. Same again on I don't think he even took a touch for his goal yesterday. Just laid in front of him, took the shot, and yes, it took a bit of a deflection, but if you don't shoot, you don't score. And that's what I want to see in my strikers, holding the ball up and having that confidence to take a shot, and having the confidence to basically miss, but then keep coming back. The games that he's slowly worked himself into games. He's looking better each game. He's looking fitter. He's looking more comfortable with the players around him. I don't want to jinx it, but the sky's the limit for him. He's certainly got all the attributes to be a massive success. And again, just like Hadji, he's been given the shirt, and as far as I'm concerned, he's took that chance, and he's the one who needs to be starting. But the difference it makes in having someone who up front who is mobile, able to hold the ball up and bring other players in, is huge. And again, that's not a criticism of Dessers. Sometimes he was isolated, but you see it with Igaman. He's more than comfortable bringing the ball down, whether it's head height, chest height, wherever it is, and bringing the others into play. And like I say, I'm really excited about what we're going to see from him in the rest of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree. What a talented boy. And Ricky, we heard at the AGM about bringing down the wages of players, really making the player trading model, a success and something that's fruitful and allows us to invest correctly in the club. This boy surely is just the cherry on the top of what seems to be a reasonably good window when you look at Jeff Day and Barron and I guess Cortez as well.
Yeah, and that has to be the Rangers' sort of trading model from now on. The recruitment team needs to get it right. And I know there was a few people saying we need to bring in some experience as well during the kind of rebuild in the summer, hence proper and bits and bobs coming in. But it's the youngsters that are actually we're excited about. Mentioned Cortez. I can't wait to see that boy. Finally. Getting 90 minutes and see what he can do, because he's another one who just loves to get to that byline and take players on. So really excited about seeing him. And even Ridvan playing at left back with Jeff a little bit further up could maybe even be a good option to us in some of the games that we've got with that busy period. So again, it's options. But one thing I would say about Egeman was his discipline's fantastic as well. You know what I mean? And that's key to somebody, because he'll bully players and people will try and get him sent off. But as long as he can keep his discipline, just laugh it off, then we will get the best of that. That was the one thing about Morelos. He just lost his head every time he get wound up, didn't he? With this boy seems to be so much more controlled. And yeah, I mean, he's got a fantastic future. And I hope he can spend a good few years with us before he moves on to bigger and better things, if that's what the lad wants to do. But yeah, that's the trading model that we need, so that we can turn this club around and start getting ourselves with some money in the bank, because clearly we cannot allow the kind of gap between us and Celtic getting any further, because it's just ridiculous now.
Yeah. Final slide that we're just going to take a look at here, which is, I guess, the season to date. And Tom, it would be good, first of all, if we just look through the goals there. The big man, 12 goals for the season already. I think it's a fair return for him, and Cherney with 9 as well. Pretty good stats for those two, and it looks as though we're getting some goals from other areas of the park as well, Tomo.
Yeah, I mean, that's been sort of the criticism, even sort of last season, is that we weren't getting goals from enough areas. Last season it was basically Dethers and Tavernier. If they weren't scoring, then we weren't winning. But it's good to see Cherney getting the goals. Egeman has started now. Lawrence is always decent for a goal. And Tab's starting to get the goals again. So once we start getting them from that left-hand side as well, we'll be really, really happy. And Danilo's chipping in there now, but he's coming back in. So we are getting there. I think it was against Kilmarnock, it was 5 different goal scorers, wasn't it? And then yesterday, 3 different goal scorers. So we are sharing them about, and that's where one of our biggest issues was. There wasn't enough goals coming from other players. We were relying on maybe 2 or 3 players to get us through. But no, it's good to see. And again, we always know he's good for a goal. It's just everything else, unfortunately, that lets it down. But yeah, so no, really happy with those stats, Ross, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's definitely encouraging to see. I think Ricky, actually, I'll ask you this question: how do you think Dessers feels right now? Kind of getting a sniff here and there. What's going through his head?
Ironically, it maybe will help the lad, because his stats are there, but prior to not having the options, i.e. Danilo and Egeman available, we kept on playing that formation where the lad was isolated. I mean, I've mentioned this time and time again. Help him out, play somebody alongside him. The old-fashioned 4-4-2, or just play the one pivot guy and have even a false 9 alongside him. Give the boys some, and maybe now that we are playing this 2 up top, we're rotating with Dessers, because on Wednesday night at Kilmarnock were great goals, great finishes. And it may well be that this formation change with the other 2 players alongside them now fit, it could be the best thing for them. I mean, those stats are pretty good, aren't they? Cherney, it was poor yesterday, but that boy's come onto a game ever since the spark with the fans. He's turned it around, and I'm glad for him, because to me he's got a really good attitude as well. He wants to win the game, which is great to see. But what's pleasing for me, and again, we've all sort of can allude to sort of God, I forget his bloody name there. The centre half, Suter. He this season has been a constant, and because of that, we're getting the best of John Souttar. Last year, we were getting 3-4 games injured, 3-4 games injured, so we weren't seeing. I mean, he was always prone to a mistake. Now, playing for Scotland and for Rangers this season, because he's been injury free, he's been absolutely fantastic. I think we can all agree, and that's got to be something that the Rangers medical team have got to take a little bit of praise for. Because prior to this season, they could never keep the lad fit. They're doing something right this time, whether they're managing his minutes, whatever. Well, clearly they're not managing his minutes because he's playing every bloody minute going, isn't he? And long may that last. So on all of those couple of stats here, John Souttar's stats are really, really pleasing for me because it's key that you your backbone or your spine of your team is as settled as you could possibly get. Because without a settled spine, you're always trying to sort of understand who's coming in, and you're susceptible to losing goals here. So at the moment, our spine seems to be pretty good, and I'm pleased about that.
Yeah, nice. And I guess another observation on those on the minutes played, 4 of the 5 are British players, which I know is something that a lot of fans have been crying out for. So interesting to see that that's coming to fruition. Look, we're not going to be too much longer. I guess, Tomo, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the situation with Clement at the minute. So obviously, I did say a very, very rocky few months for him, but seems to have turned a corner recently. Where's your head at with Phil Clement?
Yeah, I think surviving that period, sort of when we lost to Aberdeen and then drew with Dundee United at Ibrox, surviving that was a big moment for him. I think could quite easily have got the sack. The last few games, including Nice, we've been playing some really good stuff. People will say, "Oh, it's only against St Johnstone, Kilmarnock, Ross County, or whatever," but we've been shouting out for these sort of performances. Doesn't matter who it's against, and especially the last 2 games and Nice, we've got them. He's changed the style of play. He's changed the personnel, and it's working out. Part of me is thinking, what was he being stubborn, not changing anything, or was it because he just didn't have the players to change what he wanted to? Now that we've got a lot of players, like you mentioned at the very beginning, you mentioned the bench. Now we've got those players back. It allows options for different things to be tried. But the litmus test will be Sunday. We've got to beat Celtic. We have to. We've been here before where we've been on a good run of games, and then we've played against Celtic and we've fallen flat on our backsides, and it's deflating, and it's just like, oh, what next? So while I think he has had a bit of a reprieve, we're going to need to start seeing results against Celtic. And if we don't get that, then I don't see how he's going to be able to survive, really. 2 massive games against them coming up, and hopefully 2 wins. But he's doing the right things. He's changed elements of the team that he had to change, and we just need to take it on now and do it against Celtic.
Yeah, here. Ricky, where's your head at with Clement?
Hasn't really changed for me, to be honest with you, Ross. I think he's still under a lot of pressure. The games that we've won, albeit we've played quite well, but we should be winning them, and we have to sort of accept that. I don't think he loses his job on Sunday if they lose against Celtic, but if they lose the game at Ibrox in the new year, then that's it for me. He ain't surviving. I want to win on Sunday, and I'm quite confident that we'll go and we'll put up a good performance. And if we can get the balance right of our team, I'm confident we'll go and we'll win that game on Sunday, because Celtic are not playing great; they're just taking their chances. But for me, Clement needs to beat Celtic at Ibrox on the 2nd of January. If not, then it's history for me.
Interesting. Well, look, let's hope for a really good week. 2 super exciting games coming up: Tottenham, Battle of Britain, and then Celtic in the Old Firm League Cup final on Sunday. Both, I'm sure, will be cracking games. We'll have all of the pre and post match analysis and thoughts here on the Rangers Journal. If you haven't done so already, please do hit the like button. Means a lot to us and really helps us out. But from all of us here at the Rangers Journal, thanks very much for watching. And remember, every night is the Rangers Journal.